Did you know that there are various pieces to our psyche? You probably didn't know that. You're just thinking, okay, here's our conscious mind and here's our unconscious mind. So this is what we think of off the top of our head, and this is where we store information. And yeah, all of that makes sense, but did you know that there are actual parts, different parts within the unconscious mind? So according to Carl Jung, we have different archetypes that make up the psyche. So one part of the psyche is the shadow self. So this is the hidden self, the repressed self, or sometimes the mischievous self. Then we have the feminine masculine archetype, which are associated with the various roles and understandings and schema of what makes up someone who is feminine and masculine. And then there's the self, which represents wholeness, like your personality, and represents also our potential for growth and what we can strive for. So why are these components of the psyche important? These components are important because Carl Jung discussed individuation, which is a process of becoming whole, to ensure that your personality isn't fractured, that you're able to get a sense of who you are as a whole person. So it's not just understanding, let's say, the shadow self, what you've repressed, or some of the negative things that you've done, or it's not necessarily just looking at your potential and the self, or aspects of the feminine masculine part of you. It's encompassing all of that and understanding all of these dynamics. So then this way you have an understanding of your true sense of self. So someone, as an example, who struggles with anxiety and has a diagnosis of generalized anxiety disorder, from an analytical and unconscious perspective, working with people over the last 20 years, I've noticed that many who struggle with this actually struggle with unconscious rage. So they're not connecting with the shadow part of the psyche that is angry. They're not giving themselves that right to be angry. Either they don't want to be angry because they fear that they will look like an angry person that is in their family or someone that they don't want to over-identify with, or they don't want to become angry because then they fear that they're going to destroy their relationships. So they keep it buried. And instead of identifying and acknowledging, okay, I'm angry, I'm just kind of keeping a cap on it, these individuals unfortunately struggle with a primary defense called projective identification. So what does that mean? That means you will confuse what's happening internally with what is happening externally. So say for instance, you're someone who struggles with generalized anxiety disorder, then you might think somebody might be out to get you, or somebody is going to hurt you in some capacity, or something is going to happen that is very negative, that is in association with somebody else. But that's actually not the case. It could be reality. I mean, dynamics do happen, but more often than not, this is a projection, right, of what's actually inside, because the anger doesn't reside outside as if other people are angry at you or other people are angry in general. You're actually the one who's angry. You're just not in touch with that. You give yourself the right to be scared. This is where the feeling associated with anxiety comes in. You give yourself that right, but you don't give yourself the right to be angry. And because of that, it becomes buried, it's repressed, it becomes unconscious rage, and then this fuels the anxiety symptoms. Because then if you're not connecting with that rage, you're not connecting with the shadow part of yourself, then you're completely missing a part of your psyche, and you will continue to be scared of other people because that's what you think is happening on the surface. But underneath, what's actually driving those symptoms is unconscious rage. So by understanding all parts of the psyche, by understanding who you are, it is imperative, because then you can understand how you can reduce or maybe even eliminate your anxiety symptoms. And this can also function with aspects of depression and other ailments as well. I just chose anxiety because a lot of people do struggle with some form of anxiety, right? Anxiety being not only in the mind, intrusive thoughts, bad dreams, negative self-talk, but then there's also the component of the body as well, right? Hyperventilating, dizziness, feeling nauseated, so on and so forth. So anxiety is a disorder that is psychosomatic, and from an analytical perspective, it is associated with unconscious rage. that fuels the anxiety. If you're the one looking for support because you feel like you have a fractured personality, you're not too sure why you're experiencing these mental illness symptoms, you don't know what's underlying it, you don't know what's driving it, then reach out to the Mind people. Reach out, connect with my team. A consultation care coordinator will connect with you, schedule a consultation. It's 30 minutes, and you'll talk about your experiences. The care coordinator will provide personalized support, whether it's a resource, whether they recommend therapy, whether it's a workshop. This way, you can have the very best support in understanding the components of your mind, so then you can feel like you are a complete person.